Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I would like to give you a summary of my new favorite book called Deep Work. It's written by Cal Newport. He is a professor in computer science. He had his own study blogs when he given out all the hints and tips how to study effectively, and in this book it's written about a skill that you need to cultivate in order to stand out in this new digital economy age. It is really good, and I would highly recommend it for you to read if you get a few days over bank holiday. Buy the books, have a read through it, reflect on your current performance. So the book differentiate between deep work and shallow work. So shallow work is when you perform a non-cognitive demanding task in terms of logistical style task, and you perform those tasks while you are getting distracted by doing other tasks or multitasking. So these efforts tend to not create much value in the world, and they will be easily replicated. So reflecting on my daily routine, so first thing in the morning I would look at my inbox, then I would schedule my to-do list based on what task is listed in that inbox. And then throughout the day I get distracted by all the text notification from my phone. I feel like my attention, my focus is not there anymore. My brain is more frantic and it's always like chasing to the next notification, and I feel like I'm an addict, like always chasing, like checking to my phone. And I thought it chips away my concentration, and I don't want performing in that way again. It's a book to help me realize that actually that habit is not practical, it's not routine, it's not really good for my brain. So I want to train my brain, give it the ability to go deep, to want to optimize my time into this channel. It's YouTube channel. I need to have more time to reading a new context such as this book, or expanding different way of studying, way of learning, how to live your life in a meaningful way, and it requires time to do that. Okay, so after reading the book, I have made several changes into my daily routine, such as I used to read books through Kindle, the Kindle app on my phone. Again, I was get to see all the notification come through, so I don't really read for a long period of time when I was reading through a Kindle app. Now I just buy physical copy books, so my reading book time is literally just the book and myself. There's nothing to get distracted about. And I used to use a BNF app to, if I need to look for the BNF again, I would just, whether using the Internet Explorer on my computer at work or using the physical BNF paper instead of using the BNF app. I've also turned all the notification on my phone off during work hour or during my deep work hours, so I don't get distracted again with notifications. So it's making it easy for me to just stay focused and to not allow any distraction to come through. What else have I changed? And I've used to have an Apple Watch, and so every time when text and notification come through, it pinch my phone. I was just like this through, so I stopped wearing Apple Watch basically, and I'm saving to buy myself a physical, like a normal watch instead of an Apple Watch. Cal Newport also give an example of a guy called Ben. He is a financial advisor, and he was bored of in his daily routine of just looking at Excel sheets all the time. So he locked himself away for 6 months, and he trained himself to become a software engineer, and he become really successful with it. And the book, so in terms of deep work, it's giving you a fundamental skill that you can train yourself to master hard skills, such as training yourself to become a computer scientist within 6 months like Ben did. By now you might be asking me, why should you be interested in this topic? For us, I think of it as if we're living in a world when we always want to be connected with other people. The FOMO concept, the fear missing out concept, that you want to know what's the next thing that's released. You want to tune in, be connected with a lot of people all at once. From my experience, we should really approach to JOMO concept, which is the joys of missing out, because honestly you don't miss a lot. And like, I've stopped using social media a lot this year. Since the last 6 months of 2021, I have turned off all the notification from social media. I limited my time to go on Instagram or Facebook, because I feel like people would be just posting the same thing again and again. This doesn't really add much value into my life. And if I want to connect with people, I would send them a text, will really connect with me. They will send it to me to direct message for anything urgent, or they would give me a call. I feel like people just sharing the same thing, and there's so much negativity in this world right now, and I really try to eliminate it as much as I can. And I feel like my life has become happier, and I have allowed more time to read more books that could actually increase in value into my life, and I don't feel like I miss out anything. So if you have experienced the same thing in 2021 by quitting social media, had to improve your quality of life, let me know in the comment below. Cal Newport listed 2 distinct reasons why you should practice deep work. So reason number 1, that we are living an information economy that depends on complex system that change rapidly, and the system that's the financial advisor Ben have learned to become a software engineer that he mastered for 6 months, and that's probably will get outdated in the next 2 years or so. So it's really important for us to learn hard things very fast, master it really fast, to learn again and again, and the process. And I think that process to master new thing or to adapt to new changes has fastened even more during COVID-19. This technology have taken like to our life, and it changes like you would never know. There will be something that new announcements that coming through, and that's changing again, giving us the ability that we, you have to adapt, you have to innovate yourself, you have to adapt to the new change, and otherwise you will not be able to survive. And in order to master that hard skills, it required work, it required solid concentration into the task and master that skill in a speedy manner. If you don't cultivate this ability, you're likely to fall behind as technology advances in the next few years. And then after that, I was asking myself, so I was working as an outpatient pharmacist, so I was just checking boxes all the time, and the task is getting a bit repetitive, and I'd be asking myself, am I gonna be doing this task for the rest of my life? I'm not learning anything new, I'm just checking through boxes. That checking boxes task will likely to be replaced by robot, which is a lot of hospitals are implementing robot dispensing. So really my job will be easily replaced. Why should I not change myself? Why should I not change into a new identity to adapt, to learn a complex skills instead of just checking through boxes? And I don't want to stay behind. And reason number 2 why deep work is essential is because we, as I said before, we are living in a information economy. People thrive to learn new complex skill, and in this digital network, it's valuable because it creates digital network revolution that cuts both way. So if you can create something useful, it's reachable to the audience, a large audience and customer, then the reward that you will gain from that will be very significant, and it's magnified even more. So the deep work book is divided into 2 different parts. Part 1, Cal Newport give us the reason why deep work is so essential, and part 2, he giving us all the practical tips how you implement these fundamental skill into your daily life. Part 2 is giving you the rule to train your brain to work deeply and build habit embedded into your daily tasks to do so. So let's explore to the concept why deep work is so important into your daily routine. Reason number 1, deep work is valuable. It's valuable because we are tasked, as I mentioned before, for my daily description of my job of checking boxes, and it could easily be replaced by a robot. As technology advances and it becomes cheaper, big employer, they would likely to replace worker with machine, because with machine there won't be any off sick, there won't be maternity leave, there won't be conflicts at all. It's easy to implement machine work instead of human because there's so many things that associate with it. So if the tasks are autonomous, it could be easily be outsourced by the machine. It's likely that it will be replaced, and that process will change. It's something that inevitable that we have to adapt. Really, we all, like young workers start working, it tends to be tasks that doesn't require problem solving. It's really easy to replaced by machine. As you can see, we are going through the pandemic. Company has outstreamed themselves and they're cutting down a lot of worker. As you can see, a high rate of unemployment recently. When you look into it, the number of people are getting into furlough scheme tend to be young worker like us, worker like doing the tasks that didn't require complex skills. Account also listed 3 different type of workers that will thrive in this new digital economy age. They are, so number 1, high school worker, like consulting work or like software engineer or any complex worker. Second group of people is the talented pool, like the singer, the footballer, that people have trained themselves for a long time so that they can become professional, become elite in their field. And the last categories that thrive in this economy is the business owner, the people that own different company, that they have a large capital, and chances are we are unlikely to fall into that category, the last final category of the business owner. So ask yourself the question, how do you fit into the first 2 categories? Whether you are going to train yourself to become the best software engineer like Ben, or you're going to become the best singer in the world, or you're going to train yourself so that you can become really good in whatever you do. And in order to do that, you need time, you need a lot of concentration, and you need to dive in. One of the quote on the book, he said, because technology changes rapidly, this process of mastering hard things never ends. You must be able to do it quick, again and again. And if you can learn, and one of the quote on the book that I'm gonna actually probably have to print it out and stick it onto the wall and remind myself that if you can't learn, you can't thrive. Another concept that listed in the book is the deliberate practice. So in order to do that, there's 2 requirements for you to carry deliberate practice. Number 1 is your attention is focused entirely on a specific skill that you are trying to improve or an idea that you are trying to master. And it's like for me, for example, right now I'm going through a phase when I really want to develop myself. I want to share more content on YouTube for people who might be going through the same journey, and in order to do that, I need a lot of time to new content, time to record, time to edit. It's taking a lot of time, and I cannot do that by working full-time 2-3 jobs at the same time and recording. It feels like it's been a few weeks when I've not uploaded any videos because I didn't have any time for that, and by the time I get home, I'm literally exhausted, falling asleep on the sofa. So I thought to myself, if going through this journey, becoming really good, in order to share more content into my YouTube, I need more time for that. So I need to put a stop into working so many hours and using that time and energy and limited willpower to invest on this YouTube channel, which is what I'm gonna do in 2022, mastering this new skill. Number 2, and in order to do that, so you have to receive feedback into what you do to see that whether you are in the right track, and you need to correct your approach to keep your attention exactly where you want to be. And so as we all pharmacists, probably my audience are going to be like pharmacists or people who are really into science. You'll be pleased to know the concept, what changes has happened into our brain when we carry out deliberate practice. So we're saying that there's a neuron in your brain, the chemical changes that taken place in your brain when you carry out deliberate practice is the connection that make between different neurons, and in order for your neuron to work effectively, it needs to be myelinated, and that process, the more you carry out the daily practice, the more myelinated your brain will be. So it cements that connection to your brain, and as you doing it more, that process is strengthened, and you will be able to study more effectively and more efficiently as you carry out the same practice going forward. And what it say is the trigger cell that called oligodendron begins to wrapping layer of myelin around the neuron in the circuit effectively, and it's cementing that skill. And it's critical to focus intensely on the task because this is the only way to isolate the relevant neural circuits and enough to trigger the useful myelination. In contrast, if you are learning complex skill while getting distracted by Facebook, you are trying to firing too many circuits simultaneously, brain will not be able to strengthen it. You are not going to be able to master hard skill if you are trying to learn and trying to study while having your phone next to you, while all the notification is ping pong through. And the next concept is the law of productivity. He giving us an equation. The law of productivity, the equation for high quality of work is a time that's spent during doing that task, time the intensity of focus. So in order to produce peak level, we need to work on an extended period of time with full concentration on a single task at hand, free from distraction. So now we're moving on to the reason why deep work is so rare in our daily life. Why is it rare? There are 3 reasons why it's rare. It's rare because we work in an environment where people like to know what other people doing, not other. So you work in office. The office that you will see when you walk through a different city, big city, you see like large glass building with the office like multiple chairs that next to each other, and they want to facilitate that serendipity. Serendipity is when you work in a same office with a lot of people, when you can exchange big ideas, that you can collaborate. It facilitates the discussion with different workers or at the same time, and that's why it's rare. But it's also I don't really get to work in that, but you could easily get distracted by other worker, really. So how are you going to stay in focus? And reason number 2 why deep work is rare, because we are living in a world where we want to make the most out of our time. We get takeaway in instant. We've got like people want to like it, so instant messages from people. If you want to find out something, you just drop a text or you call somebody, find the answer, as if we have the instant gratification is like zero. Like working in a pharmacy, people drop in a prescription thinking, oh yeah, it's gonna be ready in 5 minutes, or why does it take so long? And then you start hearing people, I need to go somewhere, I don't have time to wait. Sometimes you think you've got all day, you wait for the doctor to see you in 2 hours, but you can't wait in pharmacy for 10 minutes because you've got other things that's really important. And reason number 3 why deep work is rare is because we're living in a social media world. We want to escape into that social media, that virtual reality, instead of the reality that we are living in now. You want to stay present in there, you want to be connected, you want to stay live, you want to live stream to people everything that's happening to your life. You want to share it on social media. Even not young people, little kids. My nephew, he is 10 and he had TikTok, he had like Facebook. I don't think I had my phone until I was 16. And again, that process changed now. You see people like kids nowadays 10, they could start having their phone at 10, and they could tune in to their peers and also stay updated on social media, as if it's training young people, young generation, stay tuned in very early, and that's all they know. They don't get to go out. And I think as we're going through lockdown, we're going through this pandemic, that process strengthens even more. And there's less connection, face-to-face connection with people. There's more Google Meet, that you meeting people online instead of seeing them in person. That connection is like it become the new norm for all of us, and I think it's really sad that they didn't get to do that. I hope that we are going through this pandemic quickly and we can make changes into the next generation so they are not missing out that connection, that real face-to-face connection with people. The next concept that Cal Newport listed in the book was principle of the least resistance. So what is this? The number 1 is that the reason why we are always tuning into this, that we want to be responsive, that you need, if you work in an environment where you can get an answer to your question immediately, then the need arise that it makes your life easier, at least in that moment. If you could not do it, you need extra planning for your work, you could not do it. So instead of like finding an answer, you would email. When I reflect on my work, if I want to find out an answer on a topic that I don't know, it's easy enough for me to phone a senior pharmacist. It's easier for me to go on internet to search for the information in that moment, and it's easier to do so than writing it down on your note that you carry with you so that you can refer to that information later. For God forbid that you don't have your phone with you, then you can access that information in an organized manner. The author suggests that we should change that approach because it will increase the satisfaction into our daily life, and it will create a better outcome in the long term. The reason number 2 why we are all tuning into the principle of least resistance is we're running our daily routine based on the inbox tagged directly into your name, and people can reach you through the inbox, giving you more tasks. But no, instead you need to organize your day, even plan it into like as extreme as every 5-minute chunks like Elon Musk does. It must have taken a lot of time, or he must have had his own personal assistant that schedule his day into 5 minutes block, fully fully concentration in every single 5 minutes and 2 different tasks, and it does require extra planning. Of why deep work is rare, because we are living in a business as a proxy for productivity. So in the absence of clear indicator of what is meant to be productive or valuable, then our job description for many knowledge work, you and I turn back toward an industrial indicator of productivity. So we're doing a lot of things in a visual manner. We all have a to-do list physically present in our desk, and we tick it as we go along, and we think that the more ticks that we can obtain in a day, the more productive that day is. But is it really? Every task you do, you complete it in your to-do list. That those are shallow work, the work that doesn't create a great impact into your daily life. You just do it because you have to. There's no meaning behind it. And the last reason why deep work is important, because deep work is meaningful. And the author listed an example of a psychologist who had a recent diagnosis of cancer, and she reflected on her diagnosis, and she wanted to make the most out of her life instead of just focusing on the negative news. She wanted to make the most out of it. She wanted to just focus on the positive aspect of her life, such as the daily walk into the countryside, the 6 o'clock martini that she can have. And she suggests that the skillful management of attention is the fundamental of a good life, and is the key to virtually improving every single aspect of your life. Life is really 10% of what happened to you, but 90% how you make of it. It's easy for us to feel sorry for ourselves, to stay in that victim t-shirt. It's easy to do that, but if you can improve your approach to look at the bigger picture, to look at the glass half full instead of half empty, you can virtually improve every single aspect of your life. You will feel happier, and like they said, if life giving you lemon, make lemonade. As Cal put it, we tend to place a lot of emphasis on our circumstances, assuming that what happened to us or failed to happen determine how we feel. But from this perspective, the small details of how you spend your day are not that important, because what matters are large-scale outcome. Gallagher, the psychologist that had cancer, she summarized, that's who you are, what you think, feel and do, what you live, is the sum of what you focus on. And another psychologist, Cole Fredrickson, found that a skillful use of this emotion can generate a significant more positive outcome after a negative event. And a researcher at Stanford University has used have done several research using MRI scan to scan on the brain of young people, and they found that young people and their amygdala is a region on your brain that focusing on the emotion. When they do the MRI scan for young people, fire with activity in positive and negative way versus only the positive one in the elderly. And they developed a hypothesis that the elderly subject had trained the prefrontal cortex, the ability to inhibit the amygdala in the absence of negative stimuli. And this elderly object was not happier because their life circumstances was better than those younger, but because they have trained the brain to operate that way. As the Gallagher's theories predict that if you spend enough time in this stage, your mind will understand your world is rich and meaningful and important. The idle mind is the devil workshop. If you let your brain to be bored and you're not working on any important project, you're likely just to spend time watching Netflix. You're likely just to play video game, or you just type that you just be overthinking every single second in your life. Your brain's always giving you that small talks, and the small talk, if you have to train yourself so that small talk is just giving you positive reinforcement instead of just the self-pity, the negative. I think I was in that stage once point in my life. I was more anxious, I felt miserable, and I didn't want to go back to where I was before. You'll be wondering, I'm approaching my semi-retirement when I have more time to study, more time to approach different concepts, and people think that if you are retiring, actually having free time doesn't make your life happier. Because ironically, jobs are actually easier to enjoy than free time, because like flow activity, they build in. So when you're at work, you have all the activity that build in. You have an established routine of what you need to do when you get to work, and you feel more productive. But if you are having a day off, you kind of just like, I do whatever I feel like at that moment in time, and you end up not really do the task that you meant to do over the weekend, over the holiday, and you don't have any feedback into that, and you kind of like the weekend just fly away really quickly, and you will look back into it and you say, actually, what have I done, what have I achieved over the weekend? So when measured empirically, people who was happy at work and less happier relaxing than they suspect. And a study showed that the more you... So what's the flow concept? Flow is the best moment usually occurs when a person's body or mind is stretched to its limit in a voluntary effort to accomplish something that's difficult and worthwhile. And they say that the more you are staying in that flow state, the more happier you become.